started.
I know. It is nice.
Just the thought that counts.
Okay, it is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order done, board.
Okay, minutes and reports received and filed. Dawn, you got any minutes?
I'm sorry, no, I do not.
No? Okay. Commissioner Committee Liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
MAC board meeting tomorrow. Economic Development Transition Committee meeting Thursday. And then we have our kickoff for the Proposition A campaign is Friday at 10 o'clock at the Chamber. St. Thomas drive-through fish fry Friday night. Warsville Lions barbecue Saturday. And I think that's about it.
Thursday, I'm going to speak at a course at Lincoln taught by Andrew Sartorius, guest speaker on federal, state, and local government. Thursday evening's Lincoln's men's basketball final home game of the season. Thursday, there's the COVID update press conference, and Friday is Link 2, right?
Yep.
Second shot of the 2000. Okay.
Okay. Today at 1:30, I got a meeting with the schools, and then the press WebEx at noon. The link. Sunday is the bridal show at the link. Monday, we got our WebEx with our medical partners
Brides?
at 8 o'clock.
Are they selling them or what?
Okay. That's all I got. Okay, any commission comments? Hearing none. Bids and contracts. Approval of sole source 2021 SS09 Tyler Technologies.
This is for some dispatching license for the sheriff department for $29,101. And it's already been ran in the paper, we just need a signature on the sole source.
Uh,
Sheriff's got it.
So there's not a signature line on it, so you just have to sign on there.
Oh, okay. What if I want to be Jeff and say no?
I'm cool with that too. Whatever y'all want to do. I'm
No.
good.
Motion to approve sole source 2021-SS09 technology
Sorry.
with Tyler Technologies with one-time fees of $29,101 and recurring fees of $5,051.
Okay, I'm gonna second it. So what did you give us to sign?
That's the sole source form that we have to sign.
That's not just the advertising part, that's just the form that we gotta sign. And then.
Sorry, I should have waited till you got done. I
Gotcha.
apologize. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thanks for
Okay.
getting me in trouble.
I'm just-
Jessica. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Sort of walking on thin ice.
I don't have to get you in trouble. You got yourself in trouble the way I see it.
okay.
That's how you look at it.
Did you second it?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. ELC Cares contract for Cole County Health Department.
Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
we had a contract with DHSS for, it's the epidemiology and laboratory capacity cares. They had given us $71,150 to assist with contact tracing efforts. Well, now they've added $55,000 to it to help with vaccination efforts. So the way they sent it was a little confusing because it says $126,150, but we already have and we've already spent the $71,150. So it's really just for an additional $55,000.
Do you have a contract?
Yep.
wasn't attached.
I didn't have it electronically, paper.
Okay.
Has it been awarded or you're asking for an application for it? It's been awarded.
Well, it's not like a grant, it's a contract, so, and we've already signed one with them, so this is just an amendment, I guess, but they sent it kind of as a new contract, that's why it was a little bit confusing.
Then I'll do a court order for the money as soon as we, on the next agenda, probably.
And
So-
Jill did review it.
And there's 2 spots to sign, Sam.
Yeah, I
So
saw
is that
it.
an addendum, or what do we got here,
Certify
Jill?
you're not boycotting Israel,
Yeah, I'm not.
but you got
What-
to sign off.
They didn't send it as an amendment, they sent it as a new contract.
Right. Yeah,
So we'll call it a new contract.
it's a new contract for other services.
I don't know, I guess I'm just totally confused what it is. If it's a totally new contract for the same services. So,
Additional.
What we
It's for
got?
different services. For
you
vaccination.
just come on up to the table and tell us what it is then, Jill. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not voting for it if I don't know what the hell it is.
I looked at it and it's the same standard form as the rest of the DHSS contracts that Christie, the health department have. And as she said previously, the care services were for
Contact tracer.
contact tracers. This now is a contract for providing vaccinations. And they're giving them money to perform those services.
Yeah. So they're giving us money.
Who's giving us money?
DHSS.
Oh, so we're
Yeah.
not paying?
No.
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 This is for us to get
No.
money.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So give me your hand.
They
Just give
pay-
me your hand. Come on.
I told you I was confused, so.
Well, they're paying us X
So we're getting
amount.
money.
and
We're getting money.
We're doing the vaccination.
$55,000.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Okay.
So, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we sign and approve amendment number 1 to contract DH 200494142.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any unfinished business? Accounts payable review.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
What? No, I asked, we hadn't used, nobody said anything.
BKD is not here today for CARES, but they are asking if you guys have plans for the remaining amount. We're trying to get that wrapped up by the end of March. So I'm gonna keep bringing it up until we spend it down.
And the number is?
We're right at 80,000, but we went through and actually I have a call with them this afternoon. We have probably about another 125 to 140 that got freed up from different things that didn't get spent completely that were approved last year. So like our health department contact tracers, we paid out the total amount of salaries, but we did not use the whole amount we had set aside. So we probably have another 125 to 140 that we can spend on top of that 80.
We haven't revisited the plan to house or where we line up the court visitors.
Yes.
Shouldn't we get our arms around that and see what kind of costs are involved?
Yes.
I mean, it could be as minor as putting stickers on the floor every 6 feet, but then
Tables, signs.
table signs. I don't know if they need more wanding equipment to get that done, but this certainly falls in the realm of COVID-related expenses, and maybe another security person or two for some period of time. So why don't we visit about that and get some numbers together?
Yes, that would be great. And then just a reminder to everyone else, if you have open items that have not been paid for, we need to get that wrapped up. I think the two big ones are your ones for the EOC that got approved there right at the end.
Virtual EOC?
The Solacom and the Pit Technologies. I'm waiting on,
We did, though, we have POs or down on those.
right,
So
but,
we've encumbered them on
right, but are we spending the money?
there. Yeah, we have meetings on it. I You can't jump into that, that's a huge deal. I can find out for you.
Just, I kind of need a timeline of when we think that one's gonna be done.
To actually pay out?
It's probably 6 months.
I don't think that's gonna work. We have to be wrapped up by June.
It has to be encumbered by this amount. You say we have to have all the money spent by June.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I have.
So,
We can talk later.
yeah.
So we're talking about the care stuff. Do we find anything out on the boxes, the moment supplies? We got
Yes.
update on that?
Yes.
So,
Let me get my notes.
okay. I didn't know if we had that on the agenda for while we were talking about the care stuff.
Old business, Jeff.
All right. You can do accounts payable review if you want.
Okay,
to.
did we do accounts payable
I
review?
know.
I'll keep it rolling since we have a lot of stuff
Yeah,
on
we
there.
have lunch, yep. I'd ask for approval of accounts payable pending review.
Motion to approve accounts payable.
Motion to approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, I have been speaking with Alex, who's the president of MoMed Supplies. As far as the invoice, the shipping and the additional postage charges actually are all one. The original estimate for shipping, it did say subject to change. Ended up being, the post office increased the cost that the shipper had originally estimated. Now, the shipper is licensed by the Postal Service and does a lot of big shipping. It's Bender. They ship for Panera, which is based in St. Louis County, for Barnes, Dobbs Tires, and other big companies, Alex told me. So this isn't just some whatever that they're engaging to do this. So that was not in the original estimate, but it is what they had to pay. MoMed had to pay the shipper that additional cost because it was underestimated. As far as the boxes, Sam, I know, is talking about why the postcard versus the box. That was the Postal Service's recommendation. The problem is that the standard post office label plate could not fit the information that needed to be on these needed to mail these boxes. They needed what's called an exception number because they contained flammable materials. The hand sanitizer has a bunch of ethanol. So in order to ship that through the Postal Service, every single box had to have an exception number. That wouldn't fit on the Postal Service's standard label, so they came up with the idea of just printing all of that information on a postcard, and the postcard then is supposed to be delivered with the box. And also, Alex said actually practically it was easier. So instead of the mail carrier searching for a box that says, say, 311 East High Street, they just grab a box and the next postcard on a stack as they go down their route. So he provided me with some documents already. He's getting more. The mailing list provided by GIS had approximately 36,000 households. That list was provided to Bender, who then coordinated with the Postal Service. They ran our mailing list from GIS against their list of households, residential households, and it kicked out around 3,000 addresses that were either not in a format provided by us that they could use to address them, or other reasons why these households weren't able to have a delivery. So I have that list if anyone wants to go through it. So that answers why. Then those 3,000 boxes, they delivered to us, and that's why we have all of these boxes sitting around. Any other questions? Alex is still getting me more documentation, like the bill of lading and all of that.
So why didn't the letter drops get them?
They were kicked out by the Postal Service. On that spreadsheet, Jeff, with all those addresses, it has a number of addresses that have like B and whatever, C. And apparently that format that was provided by us would not work with the Postal Service's addressing requirements. And I can email you that spreadsheet if you want to see it.
So MoMed said they're gonna do $33,000, or 33,000 boxes. Shall obtain and deliver the items. So there's about 3,500 to 4,000 of them over at Emergency Services Building. I forget what we had, 7 or 8 pallets, full pallets and a partial pallet, so we've got over 100 boxes here. We got some over at your store, we got some at the health department, so I'm just not inclined to pay for stuff that wasn't delivered, so.
Well, we contracted with them to do 36,000 boxes, and they did do that. But then the mailing, and that was based on
I got
our-
33 on here, so did we change that at some point to 36?
The original quote was for 33, but when they received the GIS file from Melissa, there was more like 36,000 addresses in Cole County. There's where the difference came from. It was like 35 and some change. But the original quote was for 33, because that's how many they thought we had in Cole County. But the GIS file was more.
So they based it on the GIS file. Then as it turns out, the GIS file had about 3,000 addresses that were undeliverable.
Still doesn't answer the lettered routes though. Why didn't they send them to the lettered routes? They've got the addresses. They can go in there and put them in there how they need to put them in there. And that was part of their job to do, not ours.
That's a question for the post office.
It's not even the post office's question. MoMed, that's part of their deal, is get these obtained and delivered.
They got them here. They came by truck to Jefferson.
Delivered,
So
not to here,
they
not
were
dropped off
they-
in
well,
our front
but-
yard.
But they were delivered to Jefferson City. So we
if they
still
would've
need
dropped
to
off
work out.
35,000 of them here, you would have been fine with that.
They dropped off at the post office on Jefferson. And I think there was one truck that actually came to emergency management as well. But they got them here, and then the post office took it from there. So
That wasn't
we just
part of the
need,
deal. Part of the deal is them make sure they got to where they're supposed to go, not dropped off in our front porch.
They weren't dropped off on our front porch. They were dropped off at the post office, weren't they?
Without the proper documentation on where to go and how to get them out. So, I mean, I think they dropped the ball on it. So, we still got a lot of people that didn't get them.
yeah.
So even if they have our GIS addresses, they need to go through it and say, well, these don't go with what the post office needs. We need to do something to get those addresses to where they can use them. So. And then it's just been a mess from the whole get-go, and then that doesn't help with it, so. And I've got 33,000, and then we have added 3,000 more to it, and now we've got them boxes sitting around, so.
We still got, let's look into it again, but we got a lot to cover, so.
Well, I think providing a correct mailing list was our responsibility. I mean, and the mailing list was provided to the shipper, who then coordinated with the post office.
Where does it say that we were required to give them the mailing addresses?
How would they
Christie?
gotten them otherwise?
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
get it when you're running a campaign? You go to some website, it gives you the addresses of people that registered voters or whatever. That is part of the contract for $300 and some thousand dollars.
We
they should
provided
get.
them with the mailing list.
Right,
We did.
right. And
Yeah.
when I looked at it, it had all the state routes on it as well. I can dig it up right now too. It
I
had
can
state
forward
routes
to
on it.
all of you the spreadsheet that was provided of the undeliverable addresses that were kicked out by the post office.
Yeah, do that.
They have their own database, and they ran it against our GIS list, and they kicked out these addresses. And you can ask the post office why those were undeliverable. I'm guessing a lot of them was the format, and I don't know the reason for a bunch of these others. That's a question for the post office.
Yeah, so,
Well, delivery wasn't on us to take care of. That was part of what they were gonna be doing for us. That was the way I understood it.
Yeah,
Because we have plenty of other stuff to do than to mess with that stuff.
yeah.
How much have we paid for these?
I'm holding the check still, we haven't paid anything.
I don't see how we can argue that we didn't get the boxes and we're not paying for the boxes. I can see still drilling into shipping / mailing / delivery, but we agreed to buy boxes and we have the boxes.
We agreed to buy boxes to be delivered to households, not to our front steps or to the post office, and then sent to us to store for another.
So
forever.
you're okay with not paying the vendor a single dollar until everyone's delivered? Is that your position?
I'd do that, or we can subtract the 4,000 that we have sitting over there in storage right now.
Okay, so of the 36,000 we agreed to, 32,000 we ought to pay for.
I've still got 33,000. I don't
Well-
know when the 36,000 got changed. So
Well, let's
that's the
go.
numbers I'm going off of, and that's what the check is for. 33,000 times $9.64.4 each, and then they added the estimated shipping of $3.19 to that check. So we need to back that $3.19 out of there for sure.
For the ones that weren't delivered.
No, for the one that they had estimated shipping, USPS final delivery per box, $3.19, and that's when they had to come in and correct it, because they did not put 33,000 times that $3.19, they just added $3.19 on that total bid. So,
What are the number of boxes you're willing to pay for today?
29,000.
I make a motion that we pay $29.36 of the contract price at this point, make a partial payment.
$29,036.
29 over 36, whatever that fraction is.
Okay, gotcha. I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna say no. Anyway. Okay. Second and final reading of budget adjustment number 1.
This is for $128,480. This is a grant that the health department received after the budget was approved. I think this is for vaccines. So I do need action today. So, just approving of budget adjustment number 1.
Motion to approve budget adjustment number 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contract cleaning for public works. Gentlemen.
Sent some information to you, or Melody gave it to you this morning, and I got a copy there in front of you. A couple, back in January, at the January 12th meeting, we were talking about, or we just happened to be here on another item, and Greg Camp was talking about his staffing issues, and at that time, we said, well, we would look into contract cleaning at our office, get some bids. We had issues with, or not really issues, but Greg's folks had not been there recently, primarily due to COVID and then some staffing issues that they were experiencing. So we did get some prices, and we had a little trouble finding people that wanted to bid that. Had several no call or no return calls or no shows. We did get one bid from Classic Cleaning out of Columbia. They do the Boone County Public Works office and shop, highly recommended by Brian. And their price is $75 per day, plus $500 each time they strip and wax the floors, and they recommend doing that twice per year. So, we met with Greg and Sam 2 weeks ago about various number of items, including this, and discussed the possibility of doing this, and basically, we all agreed that this would be something to proceed with, bringing to the county commission, the whole commission. So, what we have before you is a proposal from Classic Cleaning, and just want to discuss what your all's thoughts about that are. We would actually contract with them to just do our cleaning, not have facilities maintenance do it. We would propose, at least for the first 2 weeks, doing it every day to get things brought back up to shape. We really haven't had anybody cleaning our office and shop for the past several months. It's been us sporadically when we have time. Again, when we're busy with things, it's easy for that to get pushed aside. We are doing the best we can to keep it clean, but it's not probably long-term best for us to have to do it with our own staff. So we would propose having classic cleaning, hiring them to do our custodial service, office cleaning. And that would be, we would do it for the first 2 weeks, we would have them do it every day, and then back off to 3 times per week going forward. Maybe we can back that off to 2 times per week. So if we went with that full, plan, and then also had them wax the floors twice a week, it'd be $13,000. So I just wanted to discuss that with you all, see what your thoughts were. If we were to proceed with that, would that come out of our budget, or would that come out of facilities maintenance budget? In the past, as long as I've been in Public Works, facilities maintenance cleaned our office. And like I said, just recently, Greg's had his issues with staffing problems and whatnot, and so we just need to make a decision going forward.
And they're licensed and insured?
Yes.
Okay.
And like I said, they do Boone County's office, and Brian highly recommended them, and actually made the call and got them down here. They were the only one that came and did a full, walkthrough and gave us a bid. We did get a bid to do a complete deep cleaning from Service Master, but that would be, not really in line with what we were wanting. They don't do actual just janitorial or custodial services. So anyway, that's what we got, and just wanted to see what your all's thoughts were, get some
Yeah,
feedback.
give me those prices again, Eric.
It's $75 per day. They can come however many times we want them to come. We would recommend for the first 2 weeks, just to get things back up into shape, come 5 days a week. And so weeks 1 and 2, that would be $750 total. And then the following weeks, doing it 3 times a week. And that would be $11,250. $500 each time they wax the floor. They recommended doing it twice. I've been at Public Works for 15 years. I've never seen our floors waxed, so it would be something that would help definitely. Total would be $13,000. And I think
Or
we
it could be less
could be
if
less.
you go to 2.
If
Now,
we
do
go
they
to 2.
provide the cleaning materials, or do we do that?
We would still provide cleaning materials.
Okay.
We got quite a bit of stock, there right now, so. and
Eric,
it's-
just a question. So you guys bid this out informally?
We did solicited bids from different contractors. We didn't advertise it.
I'm just wondering then, it probably needs to comply. And I know, you've already got your answer, but we need to comply with the bidding statutes.
Well, whenever we looked at doing this, it was just getting an idea of what things might
And
cost, so what.
I totally understand.
Okay.
I'm just being.
So have Jessica,
You're just being legal.
Yeah.
put it out for bid.
Yeah. And you're gonna end up, obviously, well, I don't know for a fact, but more likely than not, going to end up with the same answer.
Okay.
But we've gotta follow the process.
Will they give you a discount if they do more than one building?
I don't know that you're gonna get it much cheaper than $75 a day to clean our entire facility.
I was surprised it was that cheap, honestly, so it's a good deal. But again, if
But
we have to.
they would be more than willing to probably clean more than just that
They
facility.
would say it would be a $65 thing, and they pay each building.
Yeah, likely they would. They're very good.
So, something to consider. Jill, you recommend that we actually put this out for bid? We'll get with Jessica. If
Yeah, just have Jessica, she has to put it in the paper, and I know it's gonna take you a little more time, but we have to comply.
yeah.
Okay.
So, is the commission okay with the idea of doing
I'd
this?
be interested in looking at it for other
Yeah.
buildings too,
Yeah.
because we've got part-timers out at the juvenile center, health department, public works, because I'm guessing they're not spending the whole day out there, so I'm saying a part-timer. So,
Well, Jessica could bid it out and separate it out by building.
Just which buildings are you
Yeah.
guys interested in having clean?
Yeah.
Brian wants somebody to take care of his office, I'm sure. The courthouse, so
mean, I think it's something that we need to work with Greg on as well, because if he's having troubles finding people and at that price, he can't even get a part-timer, and that's what it's gonna take is probably a part-timer doing each one of the buildings. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and Greg he's aware of this, so, yeah, he had no issues at all, so.
He was good.
Maybe we can put out for bid, and I don't know if we can specify, it might be other buildings.
Well, I think what you need to do
Yeah.
is think about which buildings you would like to have a bid for. And then Jessica, the way she bids it out is it's this building, and this building, and they do a bid for each building. That way, you're gonna do probably public works, but then maybe you decide for that price, we're not gonna do Pringer or whatever. See what I'm saying?
I think Prayer is probably our next one that we get the most,
Yeah,
we have the most, so I would
Yeah.
do those. You got so many bathrooms, it's a problem with the health department, but,
probably each building's gonna be a different price,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
You might get different contractors have a lower price on one building or another. So
yeah.
you'd wanna make it where you can select.
Or you could maybe make the bid, yeah, they each do, they split it out by building.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you restrict the time that they can do this before, after hours, or during hours, or what's?
Traditionally, it's been after hours.
Sh-
When normally nobody comes when we're there.
Okay.
And so we have to coordinate getting them access to the building and everything they need.
This idea doesn't stipulate that. Maybe when the bid goes out, or the RFP goes out, it's
Yeah.
after 5 or before 8.
Okay.
So I'd like to look into it, but I think Greg needs to be on this discussion as well. I mean, not just the Public Works office. And I don't know was he down 2 or 3 people right now? So I think if he's down 2 or 3 people, and we're gonna be hiring this out to be done, then we're not gonna fill those positions.
He just.
So we gotta make sure that everybody's on the same page there. Because if he hires 2 more people in the next week, here we are holding the bag for this contract, plus we got our other 2 people. And that's kind of what I said, this is eliminating some of their duties. And
He's already
I
hired.
think it's a good idea.
He's already hired one.
So he's
One,
got 1 position
Okay.
open.
yeah.
Probably won't open.
So for that price, we can get you cleaned up, probably the health department and Pringer Center on that same price tag, so.
Well, we felt like it was a good idea for us to consider it. And the
Yeah.
price came in very reasonable. So now we're at this phase, and I agree that we probably ought to look at it for other buildings as well. And
Yeah.
go through the formal
We'll work
bidding
with
process.
Jennifer and, okay.
Jennifer,
Jessica, sorry.
Jessica.
I just
Oh,
thought-
that's better than Stephanie. You call, what was it, 2 weeks ago? You called her Stephanie.
I don't wanna get her too chummy with it.
Okay.
Jessica,
Her
Princess
name was wrong.
Jessica.
I got what I needed, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Eric.
okay, signing of surplus title.
What was that sign?
Signing of surplus title.
Oh, that's one. Okay.
You gotta keep moving, boy, I was gonna,
This is for a vehicle that was totaled in the sheriff's department. We're still working on hail damage from back in May of last year. Is it last year? Yeah.
about every other week.
Motion to approve signing the title for the Police 2014 Ford Explorer 4x4 Sheriff's Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval and signing of unarmed security guard services COVID extension.
This is for the courthouse. We extended it until May, end of May, for an additional $5,000 for this unarmed security guard services over there.
Is that,
Gonna be done in time for you all then?
We had the expiration the 31st of March, and we had a limit of no more than 5,000. We already received a bill, so we have to get this contract.
What's that, the difference between what the sheriff was wanting to do then? And you encumbered it, but it's not being used till May, right?
No, we have not encumbered this one at all.
And it's through the end of March,
It's
not
through the
May.
end of March.
No, I thought you said May.
I
Okay.
appreciate you looking out for me.
All right, good.
Okay.
So we
I'm not hearing very good today. Oh, turn it on.
Like talking to children.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm sorry. Here. Everybody needs to run.
Motion to approve unarmed security guard services COVID-19 extension.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First reading of budget adjustment number 3.
This is for $18,884.50. This is for, actually the van at juvenile. No action today. We'll bring it back up in 10 days.
Okay. Signing of 2021-2022 DWI Highway Safety Grant application.
So this is the MoDOT grants that we do every year. The first one's for Dwi Saturation for $9,511. I started on that in that time. I'll start on this one. Brian and I have worked hard on this. I just wanted to include Brian.
He gets his feelings hurt, huh?
He does.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion, we sign the 2021 and 2022 DWI Highway Safety Grant application.
Two of them. There's one for DWI and there's one for HMV.
Yeah, I was doing them separate. Do I need to do them together?
You can do them together. I mean,
Okay, and the HMV Highway Safety Grant application.
I want to discuss it a little bit. I'll second it for a discussion.
Okay, what discussion?
Well, Sheriff,
sir.
can you give a little more detail on
Sure.
these?
So the DWI saturation is when we actually put individuals out in areas in the county that have a high incident of DWI accidents. So we'll set them out and saturate them. They're called wolf packs. And then the other one, the HMV, is hazardous moving violations. That's when we put individuals out throughout the county. And so if we get complaints from Wardsville or Taos that there's speeding or going on, we'll be able to take people and put them out in those areas to be able to monitor traffic and issue summons for any hazardous moving violation.
So the DWI stops are when they stop every car?
No, sir.
No.
No, they actually, so we do the checkpoints, but we don't do those anymore because social media's pretty much killed them.
All right.
So now you do the wolf packs, and that's whenever we'll bring 3 people out, like on a holiday. We'll bring 3 people out on like 4th of July and put them out on the road to get DWI individuals.
So that pays $9,511.
And those stops are based upon a probable cause, or
Yes.
there's something
yeah,
that's...
as always, yeah, we base them
All right.
on reasonable suspicion, probable cause.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mitel phone system extension license discussion and purchase.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, we've had some growth when it comes to the needs in our phone system, current phone system, and that comes from adding employees and adding different feature sets to include pickup groups, work groups, and things like that. So we hit our max number of licenses, and so anything beyond now, we need to purchase an additional 20 licenses, and the amount is $1,960. We currently have 379 extension licenses purchased, and we have 379 extension licenses configured. I would ask that we purchase the additional licenses so we can continue adding phones.
That was the PRIs, basically.
No,
No?
no, these are just literally software licenses for a phone system.
Don't ask me why, but I will do that.
I'll get to sign this one.
On the back one. I'm fine.
I'll make a motion to approve the request by our IT director for 20 additional
Extension licenses.
extension licenses for the Mitel system.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
GEMT document approval. Do we know what the GEM document approval is?
I had to wait until
EMS.
Brian got done.
Matt?
So are we done with everything else except for EMS now?
Unless something got added to the very bottom of that agenda.
Yeah, I
It
thought,
wasn't Matt's.
okay.
I will ask one question, at the bottom of it, it has holiday, vacation, is that just for EMS, or is that for all of us? Okay.
Yeah, it won't change your policy or procedure, so.
If you don't need me, then I'm leaving.
All right,
Brian, don't throw me
just send
under
your
the bus.
check, leave your checkbook here.
Never do you.
Matt, I always wondered what you look like without a mask.
That's what I look like. I got my vaccine.
Do you think he looks better with a mask or without?
Wow. Don't
Looks
care.
different.
All right. I didn't hear what you guys were talking about first.
GEMT document approval.
Actually, we were able to use last year's documents, so we don't need to do that. So we can skip
Okay.
that, sir.
So then we
submitted
have,
those to the state for, that's where the federal match for Medicaid patients. So those were all submitted.
okay. CAD vendor recommendation and approval.
Alright, so we had 3 vendors submit RFPs. Rapid Deploy, Pro Phoenix, and Tyler Technologies. Pretty sure
Is this what's attached?
I assume so.
Okay. It's just got more on it, okay.
And the recommendation is gonna be to go with Pro Phoenix on this one. And then Matt can answer any questions.
Matt, when we were talking about this, the biggest difference between what we have now and the reasons we're wanting to change is because they're responding to a call and they're trying to get to where they're going, and they're not able to use the CAD system we currently have. They're having to use their phones and look down on them, and
Right, so there's two aspects to a CAD. There's the dispatching side, and then there's the mobile, what they call mobile CAD, which is what the staff uses in the ambulances or vehicles. We have issues with the CAD itself within dispatch, and there's a list of things we could go over. But from a safety standpoint, the mobile CAD does not do what's called a moving map, so it's always pointed north. So if you're headed south, or if you're headed east or west on a street and have to make an upcoming turn, you're either trying to turn your head while you look at the screen to orientate yourself, or what the crews are doing to try to get around that is they're taking their cell phone and putting that address in like Google Maps or Apple Maps and holding a cell phone while they drive. So when this was something that we knew was an issue and we have been working to resolve it, we tried working with Central Square, who currently is our vendor through the Zerker platform they have. They are really unresponsive and takes a lot of time to do anything if they do it at all. So I spent 8 months working with their vice president of customer experience trying to get something resolved that still has not been completely resolved. They're painful to work with at best. The Dr. Stilley came and was going around on calls about 3 weeks ago, and we hadn't told him anything about it because we wanted him to have an honest assessment of how things go in the field. And the first thing he came back and said, I'm real concerned about the safety of the staff and the patients because they're using a cell phone while they're driving to try to get where they go. And we explained that that was a concern we had as well, and that we were working on trying to get a new CAD vendor that would have it. When you go through the bid tab, Pro Phoenix does indicate in there that they do not have the moving map. When we did our demo with them online, they said that is 60 days from deployment, but because it was not available at the time of the bid requirement to submit, they marked no, but that we would have that capability prior to our actual deployment of the system. And they were, they demoed the different aspects of it. It looks like it's going to have greater capabilities and features that we'll have. Tyler is by far the best CAD system, It is also $620,000 over a 5-year term, whereas Pro Phoenix is $216,000 over the 5-year term. It's actually 6 years, so you could actually take 25 off of that because they went an extra year instead of just the 4 or 5 years. So that total is actually under $200,000 for the same term. When we looked at Rapid Deploy, we kind of consider Taney County a sister service. They run nearly the same number of calls, use the same deployment models and things like that, payer mixes, so they're very similar to us. They had actually signed a contract with Rapid Deploy, and about 3 to 4 months in, pulled their contract and said that it was overpromised and underdelivered, and said it'd be crazy to go with them based on their experience. So that's what led us to Pro Phoenix. For Pro Phoenix, it meets our needs. It doesn't have all of the things Tyler can bring to the table, but you're paying such a premium for those things from Tyler. It's things that are above and beyond what we need to do our operations. So that's why we're recommending Pro Phoenix.
So that moving map they're gonna be adding, is that gonna be an extra
No, sir,
charge?
that is part of their system. They have it already in their app. So if we were to put iPads, that's already available, but putting it on to where it works on our MDTs, which are our laptops in the truck, that's 60 days out. And so we would be looking at deploying this June 1st. And so they said that June 1st is a target date that they will have the system ready.
Matt, when we talked yesterday, I don't remember if I asked you this question or not. What does MU Health, how do they get their folks out there?
They're dispatched by Boone. I'm not sure what system Boone actually uses with them. I would have to check on that. But they're dispatched by Boone County, the actual county 911 system.
But we had, MU Health and our own EMS have the same medical director?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and he's concerned about ours.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if he's concerned about theirs.
I can ask him. It sounds, my guess would be is that they're a pretty mature system, so I would assume that that's not a concern for them. Generally, he probably wouldn't have even known the difference had he not experienced the latter.
Okay. But we don't, as you sit here this moment, you don't know what CAD system they have out of Boone County?
No, I mean, I can get you that answer in 5 minutes. I can call him real quick.
Matt?
Where does the GIS data come from for the system you're talking about?
So we would upload it, basically, so one of the things that we have with our current GIS data is when it comes, Melissa has to upload it, and then it goes through their process. It's very cumbersome and it's a little pain. With Pro Phoenix, it's a streamlined process. We actually can upload it ourselves without having to have them go through it. So it'll streamline that data, that mapping into the system. So if there's a road closure, this system will calculate around that road closure, things like that. So that's one of the benefits of having that.
So we would upload a shape file, or how would that work?
I am not the technical expert. GIS, she's got a question about GIS.
So what's the GIS part of this new system? How does that work to get our data in their system?
So the technician said that they are gonna install a server. You'll have direct access to it, so you can upload shape files, you can upload any sort of data that we already have existing, and you don't have to go through any of their folks like we do with Central Square to get them to upload it in the server. You'll have direct access to just upload it.
Okay, so they're managing their own, say, GIS server on their end, and all we're doing is supplying data. We don't have to supply our GIS server licensing or anything like that.
No.
I've texted Dr. Stilley to see if he can get us that answer.
Okay.
So this is just pertinent to EMS.
Yes, sir.
So, we don't have to be compatible with the sheriff or
No, so-
JC Fire Department or anything there, or?
So that's what Tyler would allow at that cost, right? It would, because they would be Tyler to Tyler. One of the things that regionally is happening is what's the name of the system? TELUS. So TELUS is a system that the Highway Patrol uses, and regionally everyone's trying to go to that. Montauk, Boone, I believe Callaway, and Osage are the counties I'm aware of that are going to this system. It's basically, if you think about it, kind of a cloud, and everybody pushes their data to that, and then they can pull it out of that. So in this instance, if Jeff City got a call, they would push it to TELUS, and then through a button, and then we would pull that back out, and that data would come to us. Jeff City is currently in a grant process for that TELUS thing. If they get approved from it, then they'll go and do theirs. We'll apply for a grant as well. If they can't get a grant, they're gonna have to look for funding. If we don't get a grant, we would have to look for funding. But that's kind of how all the systems are gonna talk. And the good part about that is if we go into Boone County, we go into Callaway, Osage, whatever those are, if we're doing mutual aid, we can go and pull that data out so that way we have instead of somebody saying, hey, it's on 123 Main Street, that data is actually coming across. So the human error is taken and reduced in that process.
I hadn't thought about the mutual aid.
So that's why TELUS is actually probably a better way to go. And because that, it helps alleviate needing that Tyler to Tyler interface.
Now, the sheriff is using Tyler for their CAD?
So they have Tyler, but I don't know, you'd have to ask the sheriff for sure, but I don't know if they have MDTs in their actual vehicles.
Okay.
They do.
Do they? Okay, so they use the Tyler through that because they
Okay.
have the records management.
So we couldn't piggyback with them and...
No, so we talked
save.
about that. There's some privacy concerns because the administrators, you cannot lock out. We wouldn't be able to lock their administrators out, and they couldn't lock us out. And so being on that same system, there's some privacy issues that we would have to try to overcome that I don't think would be possible.
Okay.
Are those on-premise? Is that an on-premise product?
Yes, so that's the other part of it is Rapid Deploy was a cloud-based system, so if you lose the internet, you're kind of screwed. The Pro Phoenix and Tyler both have servers. The Pro Phoenix had 109,000 worth of hardware, whereas Pro Phoenix had, I think it was 11,000 in that hardware. So that's, again, I think it's 2 servers is what they have quoted in there. So. And
Something else for you to play with, Brian?
Is software.
It might be 1. Oh, because we're gonna repurpose the training server, so that we have, because we can do that without interrupting the operations part of it. So.
You know that training server's almost 5 years old.
Oh. Right. Okay.
And how many, so is the CAD or the GIS server component, is it on a separate server itself?
That's not on site for us.
Oh, so it's in the cloud?
Yes.
You looked at it much?
I just saw it for the first time the other day. Mac had sent me over, somebody sent me over some of the specs and stuff. So I am concerned about using repurposing the 5-year-old server. I'll tell you that. I think it needs to be.
What about the current server? Is that still 5?
I think we just replaced your file server, and I think that we can. So we virtualize stuff. So as long as their stuff can run on like a virtual server, which is pretty standard, then I think we can probably maybe beef up, the current server that you have, and then put we call it a virtual product platform on it, and then get it running like that. Yeah.
Okay. That works.
I'm hesitant to pull the trigger today, this moment. The responses from the vendors, Tyler's response was 161 pages, I think. The other ones were in 60 or 70 page length. And Tyler is so expensive. That's the Mercedes, I guess, of this.
It's just something we can't within our budget afford.
Right. But I would like to just look at this yet for another week or so, and maybe hear back from the Dr. Stilley. You know, what does MU Health do?
They use OpsCAD.
Were they contacted?
OpsCAD was not. I've never heard of them before.
Okay. That's what kind of amazes me about this is, this mapping problem has been solved thousands of times across the country. And so we shouldn't be, turning our heads, our drivers shouldn't have this problem, face this problem. But it's a problem we got to fix. I just, I don't know enough to say, hey, Pro Phoenix is the right way to go. Let's spend the money of $217,000 over the next X years. It bothers me that it concerns me that we're kind of joined at the hip with the 911 call center, and they're Tyler and we're not. But I can get over that based upon dollars, probably, as long as we still get our citizens still get the service we're looking for as rapidly as Tyler can get us there. So I'm just not ready to pull the trigger today.
I'd like Brian to take a look at it too, a little bit, dig into it
Yeah.
if you're all right with that. So, and then Harry brought up some good points as well, to take a look at them. So,
And we might check with the system that MU's use.
Well, so they weren't a bid respondent,
Oh,
so if
okay,
we go that
okay.
route, then
we'd
we'll
have
have
to
to.
Okay,
reject the bids.
okay, okay.
This one's close to what we had budgeted. The other one's 4 times as much as what we had budgeted. So, more than 4 times the amount. So. Just wanna make sure this one works if we're gonna go that route.
Okay,
Okay, we can do that.
okay.
If you got some concerns, Brian, let us know, or let Matt know, we can. Address it.
Okay.
Matt, can you send me some info on the GIS part of it?
Okay. Approval of First Watch CAD reintegration change.
So we'll need to punt that until we do the CAD thing.
Okay. So, and the same with the approval of VSO CAD.
Yep. that-
Okay.
Same thing there.
Okay, discussion of pulse point.
So pulse points, so this will actually kind of parlay, we can do whatever CAD system we go to. So what pulse point is, it's kind of a common system. Basically, anyone that's trained in CPR can download this app, and if there's a call that requires somebody potentially or known that needs CPR, it alerts that individual that, hey, within a mile, quarter mile, whatever you set up that radius to be, it notifies them that your assistance, lay responder, is in the area. And, right, so basically our CAD data gets pushed out, says there's a call at 123 Main Street, somebody needs CPR there. You, John Smith, know CPR and have indicated that you want to know when somebody needs your help, and they go over there and they hopefully start CPR prior to anyone's arrival. So it's expensive for the first year for integration. There's a $10,000 setup fee, and then yearly after that, the annual subscription is $10,500. That's something that it is not a requirement, but I do think that it does have the potential of doing some pretty good things out in the community, and hopefully saving a life or 2 or 10. CPR is the most important thing you can do prior to our arrival on someone that needs it. So again, we can integrate with our current CAD, we can go with the new CAD. So this is more, if you want to approve something like this today, you can. If you want to wait, what we don't want to do is approve for the current CAD, start that implementation, because then we'll have another implementation fee. So we can approve if you'd like, and we'll hold it till you determine what CAD and then submit, or we can just do it all at once. That's up to you guys if you're inclined to approve.
Is this one in the budget?
I would have to go back and look to make sure if it's in there, and I thought I put it in there. I'll double check.
I don't know if it is. It would be under the capital, right?
No, so this would be under services. One of the things, if we leave Zerker, our expenditures from Zerker are about 40,000 a year in expenditures. With Pro Phoenix, they dropped to 20,000. So we would have 20,000 in there to basically cover that cost because our maintenance fees from Zerker are so high.
If this would work as intended, what would happen is when the ambulance truck pulls up sometimes, they're going to find that some good citizen, a good Samaritan is already there.
Correct, sir.
Because they've been notified.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm inclined to say, let's do it, but maybe we just need to pause before we do this based upon the CAD.
Okay, yep, we can.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
Would that affect the Good Samaritan law that's in place if somebody is directed by you all?
So we need another question where they can hear this, what's going on here, guys. Can't have sidebars, people can't hear it. Hold on, John. Hold on, John. We need to either come up to the table or grab a microphone so people can hear. It doesn't amplify, just people that are listening can hear the question.
Just with what you're saying, would that affect the Good Samaritan law if some, in essence, you're a government entity, directs a private citizen and he goes and does CPR?
No, so the Good Samaritan law covers those that do not have a duty to act. And so a citizen does not have a duty to act. So like my staff has a duty to act.
Correct.
So we're not covered under the Good Samaritan. A private citizen being notified is still covered under the Good Samaritan law. No different than if somebody went over a loudspeaker at work and said, hey, somebody grab an AED and come here. There's no difference. That Good Samaritan law is still applicable. So this would not affect the Good Samaritan law.
That was the concern.
Okay, we had a motion.
No.
Oh, did you-
I think we're going to bring that back with the CAD.
Oh, okay. Okay, discussion of Rapid SOS.
So we're very close. This is just to kind of keep you guys more informed. Rapid SOS, we're about a week away. Everything's been set up and approved with Rapid SOS, so that way we can get that data pulled. You guys had done that and approved that a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we're finally being able to get, it's been a long process code, it slowed it down, but we're about 2 weeks away from having the Rapid SOS data and the app to work when that happens. So that's just more of an update for you gentlemen.
Okay. So no action or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Holiday hours, holiday pay, and time worked.
So a couple things that we had talked about. Our hours that we're doing each, I gotta pull it up so I can accurately describe it. The hours that our staff is required to cover based on holiday, sick, and vacation is 32,000 hours per year based on the current allocation given to our department by the employees, of which over 6,000 man hours is for holiday time alone. So that's 2 full-time employees working hours, if you consider that they work that 2992 hour set. And so with that, pull it up here. So currently, the current system that we do is for the cost of the county employee working in actual straight time. So at straight time, for every holiday, we pay $6,297.12. If they're taking we pay $87,985.92 for straight time each year for the employee taking that. But every time an employee takes that time, we have to backfill that, which means somebody's going to work time and a half, right? A majority of that time, of which then costs the county an additional $131,999.04. So the total cost of holidays to provide 11 holiday benefits to our department, to the county, is $289,253.28. What we're asking and proposing is that instead of paying people that are not scheduled to work, so an example, President's Day, I could have an employee in Cancun and he's getting holiday time to use elsewhere. He's not scheduled to work, isn't even in the country. He's getting 8 hours of holiday time that at a later date, I now have to cover his shift. That employee works, takes that time, then I have to backfill that time with someone. It's also causing mandatory overtime because that's extra hours on top of sick and vacation that we have to cover. So unlike an office staff where that work just piles up for the next day, I have to have someone working. So it's causing unnecessary strife because there's mandatory overtime. My employees already work more hours than anyone else in the county by the choice of their profession, but it's still time from their family. So if we can reduce the amount of unnecessary overtime, and to me this is unnecessary overtime, by shifting away from giving them quote unquote holiday time to use elsewhere and go to a system where when they work that holiday, what their shift is scheduled, we pay them double time when they're working, and if they're not scheduled, they don't get anything. When you break it down where they're not losing any hours, because the way the system works, and we've kind of gone over this individually, they still get those almost identically the same number of holiday hours paid. They're getting paid at double time. And I'm not having to backfill those individuals with overtime. So what that comes down to is if you take that out, for each holiday you'd be paying in a totality $12,594.24. But you would have 0 holiday time when the employee took it, and you would have 0 holiday overtime that someone had to backfill off of that. So the total for that is $138,536.64. When you break that out, you save the county $150,716.64 by going to this plan. So we reduce the amount of overtime our staff has to work unnecessarily. We save money to the county by doing this. We hopefully have happier employees because they're not being forced to work. And, basically the way it works is if you refuse mandatory overtime, you get corrective action up to and including termination, depending on how that, if I say, oh, okay, you don't want to work, you don't have to, well, I just opened it up right now, no one's going to work anytime that happens. Additionally, because they're not considered, that time and a half, or that holiday time is not considered time work, our employees lose $61.52 for every 8 hours of holiday time they take. That's out of their pocket. So we're giving them a benefit and saying, oh, but if you use it in your paycheck, net take home, or gross, take home money, you're losing $61.52. If we increase that to double time, because they're actually working, so there's no loss of them not working, right? They actually increase their take-home pay during that $123.04. So my employees get more money. We save still $150,000 in unnecessary overtime and straight time for the holiday benefit itself. So happier employees, they make more money on the holiday, we save the county money, and I don't have to worry about going down this path of you're recalled, we're forcing you to work. To me, this makes sense because we're able to save money, make people happier, and still provide money for those holidays they work. So that's the proposal that we have. One of the things we would ask in that is us to shift. So New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve are very difficult for us in our profession to fill because to them that is a holiday because we work 24 hours. They're lapping over into that actual 25th or the 1st. So we would like to shift say Columbus Day and President's Day, don't take those as holidays and take Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and have those as holidays instead. Because that would then allow them, they still get the same number of holidays, we're just adjusting the 2 days over, because this is about staffing at the end of the day. Trying to get people to work, because, I mean, I've had employees come and tell me, well, do you give me a bonus for working a holiday? No, I don't. I pay you just like every other day. Well, I'm not working that then. Whereas when we started talking to try to find out, well, what would make them happy, what would want them to do it, they're like, give me a bonus, give me something to work, to be away from my family on that holiday. This double time does that. And so we would ask that that also be in consideration of that.
So we talked about this quite a bit last year already, and then it was after the election, they didn't want to implement it without you being on board and then coming back and having to change it immediately if you weren't on board, so I thought it all made sense. It was a lot more talking than what you just did there in an abbreviated amount of time, but, I mean, I'm willing to try it, so.
I will tell you that every time Matt and I have talked through this, I get answers, and then when I go away, I go, what did he say about this is a win-win-win. And I've always had balanced, zero sum, basically. So the holiday thing, I think, is almost a no-brainer. I mean, they're just saying, we don't want to have a Columbus Day holiday, and we don't want to have a President's Day holiday, but we want two other holidays that, is it around Christmas or?
So it'd be Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. That makes sense, and you are different, maybe a little like the sheriff in terms of, and maybe a little like Michael Coutet and Juvenile of you have to have people work those days. At the commission, we don't. If what you're saying is correct, that the county can save about $151,000 a year.
Yes, sir. 150, according to our calculations, based on current staffing levels, it's $150,716.64.
I'd just like to add a couple things. As far as the overtime and scheduling people that when they do take the holidays, you guys did approve floats for them, and we did to accommodate some of that, so there wasn't as much overtime. So they do have like 3 floats that are always working too. So, and then part-time is always an option too.
So part-time, we have 3 part-time employees. I think 3 part-time employees. Most of them don't work frequently because we believe that our training standards, part-time employees, the public should not know the difference between a full-time and a part-time employee. A lot of agencies will say, just work when you need to, and we'll take the training you get wherever it is you work. But if those standards don't meet our standards, then we're, in our estimation, we're allowing substandard or different cares because protocols change from agency to agency. So we don't have the part-time pool that we used to because we make them attend X many number of trainings, and we have a standard, and they have to work so many hours per month, and they don't want to do that. And because of that, we don't have that part-time pool. The floats, those are our basically overflow or extras. We've only twice been able to maintain that float position. Mr. Otto and I have kind of talked, we've got a system design change coming up that we think will remove that potentially, but add a unit overnight. And so there's some things that we're working on. So I don't think that float position will be maintained, strictly because it's been hard to fill under that. So.
And so then, are you talking about the Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, the whole 24 hours being a double pay?
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, so the way it would work, these calculations are based off of the start of their shift. So if it's 6 in the morning and they're a dispatcher at 6 in the morning till 6 p.m., if they're a 24-hour employee working 48s at 7 a.m. till 7 a.m. the next morning, so that 24-hour period, that second half of their 48 is not considered it. It's, if their shift starts on that day, they get whatever it is until that second part of their shift starts, and then it ends. So it would be up to 24 hours or 12, right? Whatever they work during that time frame.
Do you see it different because they're 24-hour shifts, or do you see their office different than the sheriff? Because why? They're both 24-hour facilities.
Well, I see them different than everything else at the county is normal. And to me, it's abnormal to work 24-hour shifts, but we have a department that does that. It's abnormal to work on holidays, but we have departments that have to do that.
But in that industry, that's fairly normal.
Oh, absolutely, but sometimes what we do is we don't compare it to the industry, we compare it to the office workers. And we go, well, that's not right because it's not the same. Well, it's not going to be the same. And if we didn't have an EMS, if we had an ambulance district versus the commission being the equivalent of district commissioners, we wouldn't be having this schedule or this discussion. I mean, if we told a regular 8 to 5 person, you have to work Christmas, what do you think would happen?
But I took this job knowing what this job is.
Right.
If you're a paramedic, if you're a sheriff's deputy, if you've taken those positions and that's your career, you know that's a possibility.
Right.
But it also doesn't parlay the fact that they are working. And thank God that they chose that career because we need them.
Right.
So what happens if you go, like, say you're a 12-hour person and you work 13 or 14? Are you only paying them the double time for the 12?
No,
Or
it would
you-
be for during that time frame. So if they work 14 hours, for some reason they get late tripped or whatever, anything in that window that they would work would be considered that time frame.
So on your timesheets, is anything that shows for that day?
We can. Our system can go in and mark that as, holiday time, and stuff. I mean, we can adjust.
So then that's harder to get a figure on because that happens quite often. They work more than their normal schedule or day.
Right. Is this going to be a triple blended overtime? I'm just kidding about that. Remember, we've got blend.
Holiday time should be exempt from that blended rate.
But it could be in a week that there is some.
It could.
Because they can pick up something else. And as many as we're getting anymore, it's going to happen.
But any kind of double time calculation, it doesn't affect the overtime, does it? Because overtime is always based upon hours worked. And you can't work 2 hours in 1 hour.
Right.
You could,
Blended, it could have a different overtime rate for each week.
yes,
Yeah.
right.
But in that time frame, that is a cordoned off time frame because regardless of what it is anywhere else, they're getting double time for that part. So that is so if they only work 1 day that week is double, that shift is double time. If they work 6 days that week, that day, regardless if it's the beginning or end, is always double time for that day. So that's a quarantined day.
Here's what I'm basing my decision on. The county saves $151,000 a year. That's your representation. That's what I'm counting on. And it also results in happier EMS employees because they won't be as much forced overtime.
That's correct.
And under that scenario, I'm willing to try this approach.
And if it doesn't work, we can change back. I mean, that's the one thing we could do, but.
What if we said this is effective X date for X months, And then prior to that ending date, there has to be a look back and a comparison. And we have to see that it did what it was supposed to do.
So I think the
So
only thing
ma-
you have a little hard time to do is know when you would have to force someone into overtime or not. So you would have to extrapolate that out from maybe previous years to show that.
Well, maybe it's comparing, what I'm looking for is this $151,000. So for every month, we've got to save $12,500 if it has the same holidays or whatever, on average. So after 6 months, we should have saved $75,000 if they got the same right number of holidays in there. And the people the morale's improved.
Sure.
So I don't know what those triggers are, but we'll try it. It's not a forever. So do you want a motion on this, Jeff? Or how would you?
Yeah, we probably need to approve something on it too.
Okay, so is there a good starting point? It's a pay period as opposed to
So the next holiday coming up, I believe, is Easter. So you could make this effective. Oh, that's right. So May, Memorial Day.
Well, but for accounting purposes, you'd like it to be effective on a pay period date.
Well, I mean, it's okay if you're just gonna motion it today, because it's gonna take me a while to figure out how to get this in the system. And then for the next holidays, but I don't know how you're gonna.
Well, I mean, you would, as opposed to starting it on March 1, you would rather start it on the first pay period starting after March 1, I guess is what I'm saying. With biweekly pay periods, it's,
Well, you could make it effective the next pay period.
Look what it is here,
So
sorry.
this is a policy change, so we need to have the policy written, because we've got holiday pay and stuff all in our personnel policy, and you've got your own, sheriff's got his, we've got ours. So we probably need to have something written up there and then approve that.
It would be helpful. Yeah, because it's in our manual now, and everybody's basically treated the same. And then I'd also like to know what you want to do with the time that they're already banked. Are we paying that out? Are we letting them still take that time? Because the concept of it is what he's saying is taking that time. So to get a clear picture, if they're still taking old time they have on the books, then you're not going to get a clear picture.
Which is what we would like to do, is pay that out this year.
It's going to cost some money.
It will.
It's gonna cost us money to fill those when they take those days off anyway, so it's.
Right, so you're saving
Still
time and a
costs us.
half for
Depends on how you
everyone
wanna
you're
take it.
not filling. Or if you buy it out, you're not paying that time and a half for that cover employee, so it's still cheaper to buy it out.
so do we have to draft the policy first before we adopt the plan?
I prefer.
All right, so whose responsibility is it to draft the policy? and-
HR person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let Jill look at it.
So-
I'll let,
And
So
let's
surely
put-
we can get something written up that, in the meantime, if we don't have an HR person yet, obviously, in the meantime, we can implement it and get it going.
What we'd like to do is kind of freeze people from taking that holiday time now, like, because that is still affecting us. And then while we work that, then we can, the actual application of said intent. So kind of the way we've always done it is, we can be more restrictive, not less restrictive. So if you guys wrote something, EMS's policy, holiday vacation time policy applies for EMS. I think I can get one done up here in the next day.
Yeah, Matt, why don't you take a crack at it, because you know what you're talking about.
Okay.
And this kind of stuff makes my eyes roll in the back of my head.
I have one from my last agency. I mean, I literally probably have to make a
I was
few
gonna say, I
changes.
said, we can't be the only people that are
No,
doing
this is
way,
an
so-
industry. This is very common.
I'd like to give you a total of what it would cost to pay off everybody.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, yeah.
so what do we need to do today?
Nothing. I mean, he's got the direction to come up with a policy. We'll put it
Okay.
back on the agenda.
And do you guys want to freeze taking of it now or continue to allow that to happen? The holiday time.
I think you can do that without a policy.
I agree with Debbie. You need to get that in place first.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, employees need to have a little notice.
So send if you write something up or get something, send it to all of us so we can review it as well, and then Jill can look at it, put her ideas into it as far as the legality of it. And we'll try to get something moving on it sooner than later.
Yeah,
Okay.
as quickly as we can.
Okay, well, I'll ask to have it put back on next week, and then I'll have the policy here in the next day or two to Jill.
Okay,
All right, great, thank you, gentlemen.
okay. Do we have anything else before we go into closed session? Okay.
I move we go into closed session pursuant to Section 610.021, Personnel Issues, Section 610.021.13, Legal Actions, Section 610.0211, and Responses to Bids and Negotiated Contracts, Section 610.021.12.
Second.
Roll call.
Harry,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
So,